Hey guys, it's Chet. Coming at you with something kind of interesting that I came across on our local news today. What we have is a Caldwell senator, it's a town not too far from here. He's looking to make all Idaho adults militia members. And what he's doing is, I guess he's going to propose a bill here. What it says is, Boise lawmakers fearful of the U.S. Supreme Court might one day reverse itself on the issue of individual gun rights aim to change the Idaho State Constitution's definition of a militia to include all the state's adults. So we want to keep in mind that right there, all the state's adults. Because as you know, from what I can tell by reading the Idaho State Constitution, and I'm going to go over that really quick with you guys, there's an age requirement, and it specifically says all able-bodied males. So by changing it to all the state's adults, then again, I haven't read the bill, but that's something that I'm going to be doing to see exactly how it differs from our original Constitution. And the section about militias in the state constitution from 1890. So basically, what he's saying is, that way, and it's Senator Jim Rice out of Caldwell, what he says, the federal government can never swoop in and disarm residents. Rice wants to put the amendment before voters in the November 2014 election, calling it an important backstop. Now, I guess we're needing backstops nowadays because, nothing is set in stone. Our Constitution, I guess, isn't good enough, and so we're having to erect backstops because there's some, clear evidence that, things, are attempting to be changed or gone around. So, the existing protections of individuals' gun rights. Okay, for now, he just wants to get people talking, is what the article says. He says it is surpassed by all other matters, or it surpassed all other matters in the 2013 legislature, which included our health insurance exchange, for the Obama healthcare deal, and then and a proposed personal property tax repeal. So obviously, to our legislators here, it's a pretty important issue. So with that in mind, I just kind of, looking at it and thinking, is this more of just something that's, symbolic, or is it a symbolic gesture or something like that? So the traditional definition of a militia, from a couple different sources, one from Webster's, one from Wikipedia here. So this one here is out of Webster's, and it defines a militia as part of the organized armed forces of a country liable to be called on in an emergency, or a body of citizens organized for military service. And then in the sub-definition it says the whole body of able-bodied male citizens. There's the male thing again. So declared by law as being subject to be called into military service. It gives us a little bit of history. Its first known use was in 1625. It is the word itself is Latin of origin, but its first recorded uses are in some of the Anglo-Saxon chronicles. It says in early times, Anglo-Saxons required every able-bodied free male to serve. So, in defense of their territory. So, it goes way back. The militias were used in the War of 1812, the Revolution, the Second Civil War, or the American Civil War, things like that. What Wikipedia says is militia is an irregular army. Generally refers to an army or other fighting force that is composed of non-professional fighters, citizens of a nation or subjects of a state government that can be called upon to enter a combat situation, as opposed to a professional force of regular soldiers, historically members of the fighting nobility. Some of the ways, okay, these are the ways these terms are used. And then it gives a whole list of the use. So, about, is what our senator here in Idaho proposing, is it symbolic, or what are the changes that he's wanting to make to the Idaho State Constitution? Because here in Idaho we have a pretty cut and dry, very clear state constitution. So looking at the Idaho State Constitution, I'm going to go over that because it seems a little bit redundant. Like our Constitution is already very clear and what it states. So I'm leery to see, you know, what they're attempting to do. Are they going to be rewriting, you know, the whole section? Is it for our benefit, for the state's benefit, or what? Because in the Idaho State Constitution, regarding militia specifically, it says persons subject to military duty, all able-bodied male persons, residents of the state between the ages of 18 and 45 years. So they give you a gender and age-specific qualification. So they shall be enrolled in the militia and perform such military duties as may be required by law, but perform such duty in the time of peace. Every person claiming such exemption from the service, so I guess if you don't want to be in the militia, you can pay into the school fund, is what it says, shall pay into the school fund of the county of which he may be a resident, an equivalent in money, the amount in matter of payment to be fixed by law. So I guess if you chose not to be in the militia, and no, this is 1890, July 3rd, 1890, the Constitution here. You are required to pay into the school tax fund. Now we all just kind of get taxed. So, legislature is to provide for the enrollment of the militia, and the legislature shall provide by law for the enrollment, equipment, and discipline of the militia, to conform as nearly as practicable to the regulations for the government of the armies of the United States of America. So, you know, when people are saying militias don't need AR-15s and militias don't need tanks, militias don't, you know, well, in the Idaho State Constitution it says, you know, that is as near as practical to the capabilities of, you know, the United States Army, the regular fighting force. And then it goes on here, section of commissions. Here in our Constitution it says that all militia officers shall be commissioned by the governor. A matter of their selection is to be provided by law. Okay, they may hold their commissions for such a period as the legislature may provide. And then it talks about banners and things like that. You are only, in Idaho here, you're only allowed to either fly the state flag or the United States flag as far as a militia banner. You know, they talk about which flags you can carry while in demonstratings, you know, things like that, parades, or in active service. And then there's a section 6, importation of armed forces are prohibited. So right here in our Constitution, we prohibit any kind of importation of armed force. And that states that no armed police force or detective agency or armed body of men shall ever be brought into the state for the suppression of domestic violence except under the application of the legislature or the executive when the legislature cannot be convened. So it pretty much is stating that, you know, the militia should be, you know, the end all be all, you know, as far as public service and any type of that need, and, you know, goes against the importation of any kind of outside force, maybe, you know, feds or something like that. So our Constitution is pretty clear, and the only difference I can see in what, you know, the senator is wanting to, you know, try to get passed would maybe be a gender and an age, you know, requirement, as our Constitution says that it's only males and 18 to 45 as far as the age. So maybe they'll lift the age restriction, maybe they'll lift the gender restriction. I think that would be great because there's a lot of single moms out there, and you know, here in Idaho, a lot of women are you know, avid firearm enthusiasts, and a lot of them have firearms. So as far as that being a backstop, I guess their reasoning is to, you know, if they come after individual gun rights, they can say, well, all of the citizens in the state of Idaho are active members of our militia, and, you know, in our militia here it says, you know, to be as practically close in capability as to the standing, you know, U.S. regular army. So that might be, you know, a second backstop. At least that will give them another hurdle to encounter, because, you know, the left, and you know, I don't like to play politics. I don't want to say the Democrats. I know a lot of Democrats here in Idaho who are avid hunters, avid firearm enthusiasts, you know, and definitely aren't of the ilk of going out and, you know, trying to round up, you know, confiscate or pass some kind of assault weapons ban or anything like that. But there is a subset of the left that are definitely hell-bent on this. And so maybe it's another hurdle, I guess I hope we don't have to pass it to see what's in it, you know. But I'm gonna read it. You know, you guys might want to check your local state legislatures and stuff and see if they're passing anything similar, or you know, read your state constitution. Your state constitution is pretty clear. So as far as from an individual right, do you have the right to bear, you know, anything like that? You know, they're going to come and confiscate your stuff. As a resident of a state, you know, you have a state constitution that also, you know, basically backs up your individual right. And our state constitution here in Idaho is very clear about that. So I just thought I'd run that by you guys. See, you know, check it out. Check your local state constitution. See what your constitution says about your rights and actually what they require. But for all of my subscribers who live here in Idaho, something to look out for. Maybe we want to go ahead and read this thing and see what the changes to the Constitution are going to be. Hopefully it's just a gender and age, you know, qualification being lifted to include all able-bodied adults, because that's what the news headline read, and that would include women. That would make women and you know, anybody over the age of 45 eligible to be in the state militia. So, all right, guys, just something interesting I came across today while perusing through the news. So, this is Chet. As always, thanks for watching. If you guys enjoy any of the ramblings, you know, that I got going on here, be sure to like and subscribe. All right, guys.